I don't know what's happening. I don't freaking understand what is happening. This is so weird. This is just so weird. Are we on? Are we on? I don't even, probably no one's on here. I don't understand what is happening. Today was like also just not the day to like have this happen either. I'm just gonna take a little bit of time to, I don't know, gather myself and figure out also if this is on, if this is like public. I think it's public. Hi P. This is crazy. You can see me live. It's 9:30 right now for us Easterners. That's a question. That's actually a question because I don't understand. This is what happened not Friday. Yeah, Friday after I went on the chat or on the chat. I'm sorry. I'm like really flustered because I seriously it took me 15 minutes and I still don't understand what happened, what yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much. Um but yeah, I still don't understand. I still don't understand what the technical difficulties are. But anyways, I can't the chat isn't connecting in OBS and I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to do this in a number of different ways. All right. So, um oh, okay. Wait, does this work? No, I have okay. I have like I found a way to like pop up chat messages on the screen if anyone ever wants to be popped up, but I couldn't figure it out. I don't know. Computer problems. Anyways, all right. It is an odd. This is going to be an interesting chat for one because I can't see everything for some reason. For two because I want I don't want to, but I felt inspired might be a weird word for this. I have two things that I want to start off with that are quite heavy. And one is, I think you guys have already seen the Deadpool thing. And I have my own thoughts on it as far as my experience going to England. Anyways, and then the other one, I was watching this. I don't usually talk about the news, but I was watching the news because I was, I don't know, I just kind of left the TV on and I was watching. I had heard about this news story and I didn't really know or didn't really even want to get into, I guess, the Hi Maria, into I don't know. I'm not sorry. I'm still flustered because like I spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get online and I don't know. It was just all over the place. But yeah. Anyways, I was moved by the story of the guy who I think shot an officer, and he was also shot in the ICU at a hospital. I don't even know where, to be honest. But I was moved not so much by that one particular story, but by how I don't know why I always wanted to do something for like humanity. Like that was what I felt was I don't even feel like calling it my calling, but that's what I felt passionate about was to kind of leave this world better instead of worse. And I see it go worse and worse. And not because there's more incidents, because if you look at history right now, we have less violence than I think we ever did as a planet or as a human species. Um, but it's still happening, and what I'm seeing is worrying me in terms of I talk a lot about like going to therapy and how that's important around like the Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively thing, and how if you don't go to therapy, especially if you're not aware of the things that you need to heal and work on, and there are some pretty strong things that really hurt you and others in ways that you might not understand that are coming from your hurt that you're not healing. I talk about that a lot, or I mention it often because that's really like a huge passion point. And watching this story, I felt a bit of that. I'm going to kind of read and then talk about what I wrote because I wrote my notes as I was watching this. Oh, and I didn't send it to me. Where is my phone? I had screenshotted what one of the doctors said, like the news story of what they said, because I thought that was really great that they showed that. But anyways, so um, the story, I think I was watching CNN. I don't know, my family, they watch the news, and they said that this person was removed from the ICU once, and this is quote, once becoming irate and emotionally distraught after learning there was no other treatment available for his wife that was on life support. And the doctor said, hi, on him. The doctor said, I was there when we delivered the worst news imaginable to him that his loved one was gone. I saw his devastation firsthand. In that moment, I truly did not see a monster. He was simply broken. I'm sorry, I don't have, I didn't do my homework. Um, this is the screenshot. Um, this is the most beautiful quote in sense of hope for humanity, because for a news station to say that, because what I feel like is happening or what I'm seeing is oftentimes these stories, of course, people who do bad things, who do illegal things, and also who like hurt others or themselves deserve consequences, and that's not okay, and that there's no, I don't know if there's no excuse, but they deserve consequences. Like you can't hurt others, and you can't hurt yourself in, you know, ideally. I also think that oftentimes we villainize those people and we forget about what led to that. Sometimes we don't. A lot of people were talking about this as far as like the United Healthcare thing, and how there was. I remember Trevor Noah covered this on his podcast, like how many people didn't see that as a bad thing was interesting. Um, so I'm gonna get back to my notes. No one seems to honor this is so just bear with me as I'm going through my notes. No one seems to honor the deeply hurt individuals hurt by the inadequacies, why can't I talk, of a society that has little excuse for these inadequacies. Why can't I say that word today? I'm sorry. We have our priorities all wrong. If we're truly going to cut funding to education systems and branches of it, if we're going to underfund education, the medical system, and even honestly the arts, there's so many more. I was trying to think. My brain's not functioning the best, but I was trying to think because there. It's not just these, but it's the arts. It's all these things that raise society instead of just defense. You know, when you there's medical systems. The US is very against, I don't know, very against, but it seems like very against preventive care. And then people say, oh, because they want, the insurance companies want money, whatever. I don't know if it's that or combined with just plain ignorance. And as people, I think more often we're able to defend against something that's already happening rather than like do the best we can beforehand to not get there. Like, okay, let me get like the anxiety medication or the anxiety treatment, the therapy, the meditation, learning all those after we have something going on instead of before. And so that's what I'm kind of trying to say is that, and with the arts, like those are just constantly underestimated for the positive effect and for the necessity that we have, and the thing, because that's what I'm trying to say. It's like this stuff that is talked about being underfunded or cut or like just dismembered. um these are just like two three things that I thought of at the top of my head. Against, I don't watch news. I've been under a rock because of how things have been. But when we're going to put our resources to violence, to defense, to reactive measures, to punishment, um, to consequences, instead of um, sorry, instead of to like peace and love and healing and preventing and having a society that is, you know, good in health rather than have it not healthy and things like this happen. And I don't know the circumstances of what led this man's wife to be in critical care and have like no chances. And I'm not saying that again, I'm not looking at this as this particular instance. I'm looking at it. We heard about the United Health. We didn't hear about it. It happened. The United Healthcare shooting. The like all these things. Even because it leads into also these like accidents that happen on movie sets. And um in reading how like it's often because of inadequacies of um I don't know, I'll get to that later. Sorry, I'm all over the place, but it just seems to me that we're constantly avoiding actually m- making things right and just putting bandages at best, or even blaming the problem, or not blaming the problem, blaming the victims or the victim, not just like people, but like the victim in like a not tangible way. Um, okay, hi, yeah, Maria Rodriguez. Um, I'm like all over the place today, so um but yeah, I don't know. I guess like I was just so much more ready for this before I was thrown off by the connection issues and then some family stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how to like explain this, and I feel like I'm not doing a great job. I just like worry because I just feel like we're doing that. We're doing it all wrong, and it's not going to make us great again or at all. to use that phrase. And I'm not, I guess it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about just like how many people have to die, maybe, I don't know. And not just from wars, but from like lack of health aid or other aid. Like maybe, as far as like, that kind of imperialistic type of way, maybe. But as a society, it's just like we're going down. We're going down. And I think some people take it into conspiracy theory land, and I think that some of that is valid, maybe. There's always some validity to conspiracy theories because that's how they like get the power. Because if it was just complete BS, then no one would like even look at it. So it's like it's rooted in some sort of reality. But I think personally, and maybe I'm naive, I think personally it's just a matter of ignorance. Is the same thing where I see people like Blake Lively or Ryan Reynolds or others who don't go get help or do the help on themselves. Because you don't, I mean, you do have to go at least a little bit to a neutral person, but some people also run into like really bad therapists too. And some people just already know kind of how to navigate or whatever. So, however that looks, but like being honest with yourself and as a society, being honest with ourselves and actually putting resources where it lifts us up, where it heals the wounds, instead of like holding on to like we need our guns and holding on to. I'm not even saying that we should or shouldn't have guns or whatever, but I'm saying like the way people come at that is like no, no, because it's always been this way. So I don't want to change it. But then when it comes to like changing by dismantling things and by removing like important things, where if you have access to guns, for example, education is pretty helpful, and health, like medical health resources are pretty helpful, if you're depressed or whatever, so you don't hurt yourself, which oftentimes mental health issues go inward in hurting yourself, not so much others, or like hurting others. And then like in things like this, again, I don't know so much about this. It's just like a jumping off point for me, that I'm glad that the reason that I read that is that I'm glad that there was this doctor that spoke so truthfully and transparently and real, where I'm sure people otherwise, and me even now probably, like think of this husband as the bad guy. Um, and the officer was honored, but he wasn't honored. And I mean, I can sort of understand that, but also at the same time, it makes me, again, when you pull back and look at society and at the eagle eye view kind of things, it's like, is this is just so messed up. It's so messed up that that man had to be in that situation. It had to be, again. There's like sometimes people don't have a choice to be in those situations. Sometimes they do. I think too many times we get our hands off, like, oh well, it's a problem with just that person, and we don't see as the people, like as the loved ones of that person, or as even like the greater society around that person, how we fail and what our responsibility is, which is really interesting that I say this now. It just kind of hit me. I was watching again, that I'm watching the Oscar nominated movies, and I'll get to the chat in a second. Um, and I started watching. I watched The Complete Unknown 2 days ago. It was okay. It was actually, I guess I scored it higher in my score than Anora. I don't know, not my favorite music, not my, I don't know, it's okay. Um, Excuse me, but I started watching last night Emilia Perez, which I haven't really I'm not even halfway through that. And then today I started watching A Real Pain. I think that's the name of it. And they talk, I mean, it's actually a pretty good and thorough script so far. I'm literally halfway through it. And this idea of like the responsibility and the, you have, and it's like this like question, how much do you grieve and how much of that burden of the past do you carry? And how much do you let go of that to be also honoring the people that, died in the past for you or for others or whatever? And it's this balance that I don't know if anyone really knows. Um, Probably definitely therapists more than I know, but you know the responsibility that we carry as a society. They just started talking about that in one of the scenes, or they just were, and it's so often that I hear more like it's not my problem in like personal relationships. I've seen that where it's like, well, that's just like it's on you, that's a you thing, that's a you problem. And we fail to see how we affect that, or how we could affect that in a positive way instead of a negative way, through avoidance or through like non-avoidance, instigating. And I remember like years ago, there was a story with someone. Oh, the Facebook, I think it was the Facebook guy who ended up like in Erie, Pennsylvania or something. And I remember literally in the lunchroom at where I worked, people out loud saying he deserved that, to like do that to himself at the end. And I was like, why? There was some sort of pain that led to that, whether it was like a mental disorder, which rarely, not rarely, I'm sorry, not rarely, but like more often it turns inward rather than outward. But he, like, I forget exactly, but I think he like shot someone. I don't know if I'm going to like get like even what am I say? I don't know how to say these words, but um, before he left and that happened. Um, but like I just remember thinking this was years ago. It was actually in 2016, 2017. It was like, do we not realize the responsibility we have and had? Even me, that was much younger than this person, but of how we fail certain people and we fail ourselves and others. And when we're in trouble, where we're in troubling times, we can feel that failure, maybe, or maybe it goes inward, like I wasn't enough or what. Like it doesn't matter. It's just factually, we're all connected and we all affect everything. And it can be very big of a burden and a very heavy thing. And I'm curious how this movie explores that, like how much of that burden is it not just honorable to those of the past, but like helpful for us to not repeat bad history, to not repeat um, things, but also to do better. Because we're just constantly in like survivor mode and defense and not actually like thriving. And freaking, we have so much more ability and freedom to thrive because we are, especially in the US, a lot of us are so privileged. And I'm not talking about like color of the skin and all this stuff. I'm talking about like which that also plays a part. There's so many factors that play a part, but sometimes like we forget just how privileged we are compared to our ancestors. And yeah, I don't know what this means. I just like I saw this and I was like, we're screwed. The way that I hear politics going in like take money away from education, take money away from like and or how people talk about it from NASA, from science, from this, but put money into like war, into army and things that already has the most amount of money allocated to it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And everything's about war. And when I think of like what's happening in the whole world, like Israel and Russia, and just so many places. I feel like we're going to get there. Like, so many places are in war mode. We are in a war mode, even though we're not actually at war, but it's like an internal war mode. Everyone's so divided. Everything's just attack and not thrive and flourish. And we have freaking AI now. We have so many opportunities to live and create a better life. Instead, we're like always looking like how to like go back to the past and do what the past was, which was actually not that great, but we remember the good stuff. Or people who don't even know the past and history, and I'm not far from that. I know a little bit, but you know, don't even know that it wasn't great or good at all. And yeah, and you know, another thing that makes me think of is like with AI, everyone's talking like, "Oh, we're going to lose our jobs. We're going to lose our jobs." And this mindset of like, how about we do something better with our lives? Like, how about we create, like, we evolve society into something that's like, I don't know, Star Trek or something, that where we can build so much more, we can thrive so much more, we can have, you know, less hunger and famine and crime and all this stuff, because AI can handle like the simple tasks, or like complex, like the admin type of tasks, and we can like maybe think of like building instead of just robots. Just do, you know, put this brick over here, put this brick over here, put this brick over here. And where we don't have to be paid, or like our survival doesn't, you know, disproportionately also depend on putting these bricks, because maybe we deserve to just live because we're just alive, and that's all it takes to deserve to be alive, is to be alive. Um, and like, you know, grow society instead of just like being just mindless robots. I don't know. Went so different today so far. I am going to get into the Blake Lively stuff, plenty of it, but not too much. It's not going to be a too late of a live, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think I said that greatly, but it's I don't even care if people don't watch it. I know you guys are on the chat, but everyone else, like, I don't care. It's just something that I believe in. And if I can't even say that, as I see like society suffer so much and we're going in such a bad way, and I can't do anything about it except speak on it, speak what I can, you know, in my not distorted, this regulated, you know, brain or nervous system or whatever. I don't even know how to say it. Like, my brain's not like able to like put phrases together in the best way today. Um and you know, think about what else I can do like in my community and day to day, how I can like do better. Beyond that, at this point, I don't know what else to do. But it kind of makes me more hopeful, and also more hopeless, as far as like what change can I actually do through like something like filmmaking. It just feels daunting, but it also kind of sparks this spark a little bit again of like, that's why I wanted to do art stuff, so I can reach people and I can make them think, and they can find the answers for themselves. But like, start some people start that down that road, or because I don't have the answers, you know, we're all in this together, or like give like a little nudge, like, hey, I'm with you, you know, you're not alone in like tackling this, and I'm not here leading it, or like, you know, whatever. I'm just one person more into something that I feel is, to me, the only worthwhile thing for me to do. Um, and it should, in my opinion, should be at the top of our all of our lists, in however we're showing up, in whatever job we have, in whatever things we do, and relationships we are in, and all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know. That might be a little too much. Maybe I'll not agree with what I even said in like a while, but that's just like how I feel today. All right. So yeah, Maria. It's because society at large claims to want to be better and be better, but don't want to do the work. Yeah. Isn't that every almost every single person? And isn't that what like we keep seeing just and get so frustrated with Blake Lively? I was watching Dr. Amen Kaur's second or first, I don't remember, but the comments were like she's not going to change because she doesn't want to change, or it's too late for her to change, or whatever. It's like I commented on one like, no, it's never too late. It's just that that person needs to see that they need to change, that they need to like step away and like think for a second, and do the work. But yeah, otherwise we will try to make things better in destructive ways and in ways that makes it worse. For example, this country's ideal, as with many other countries, are aspirational, inspirational, but clearly unaligned with the most ignorant facets of human nature. That's interesting. Yeah. Um, wait, do you speak more about that? Because I'm interested, P, to hear like, to me those don't go against each other. Aspirational, inspirational. It's interesting because you say that, and to me, I always felt like we don't have enough of that. Like at least like in the last few couple of not few but couple of decades, when I look at movies, the movie side, everything's about like real suffering and real pain and like reality, and how grungy and like the less hopeful the movie is, the more like it wins awards or whatever. And it's interesting because to me it's like there's not enough aspiration and inspiration. There's not enough thinking of, how much better it can be, and how do we get there, what can we do to get there. Because if you are, it's kind of like a vision board. Like we don't have a vision board as America. We want to be better, we want things to be better, but we haven't agreed, but I don't think we have even put things up as a vision board of what that better is. And so I think the aspirational and inspirational stuff is like we need that, so we know where to go and like work backwards from that. But you might be saying something else that I'm not understanding. Because yeah, my brain, like I said, but clearly unaligned with the most ignorant facets of human nature. Like you're saying that like we can't do better, we can't do that aspirational thing. Like um we want what we cannot be. I would argue, I wouldn't argue that, but I think that's what you're saying. Um People say they align with the aspirational aspects of this country. For example, we take you're tired and you're poor, but that's not our behavior. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, we're not saying that anymore. We're saying we're not taking anyone. And actually, the people who are already here get out. So we're even far from that. Isn't that how? Isn't that sad? How like far like we're deviating from like the ideals of this country for like a while. And of course, it was like it wasn't that clear, and it wasn't for everyone, unfortunately. There's that. Um, but the idea, like that everyone has strived for in this country, has been for the better. And somehow, in the recent, I don't know, just recent years, it's just like we just stopped. And things like we take you're tired and you're poor is like, no, that's not our problem. Because people were talking about also at the news, like how if US aid stops, like people who, or maybe that was my family, people like countries that depend on that will have like dire consequences on the whole country, like to the point of not extinction, but like hard times and diseases, and all this stuff. And in my mind, I was like, Americans don't care. There's so much selfishness in the US right now. I can't even say greed. It's more like this idea, this fake idea of, again, it's my opinion, but I stand strongly behind that phrasing, that it's a fake idea of lack. Like there's not enough. There's not enough money, just because that's the marketing that we're being sold. There's not enough money for others. Like we need to keep it. We need to keep it here. And like it's so fascinating why we're in that space of scarcity. Um like where we're like we don't care about the other. And it's not even about like outside of our country. It's like even our like the people right across from us, you know. I was watching 90 Day Fiance, and I saw some couples that like really, at least at the beginning of the season, they really loved each other. Although there's Sarper and Shekinah, and they've been on seasons, and just like to see them like really love each other and like be there for one another and stuff is like so foreign to me. Like in real life, I see so few people doing that. Everyone's kind of just like worried about the day-to-day stuff and just disconnected. Even my family, they're all on their phones. And I go into the room when they're supposedly watching a movie or something, and they're all three on their phones, and I'm like, hello. Like this is just so weird. And it's just like yeah, we're we're absolving ourselves of the responsibility that we have. And it's interesting from a point where I feel that way after years of not feeling that way for the first time ever this past year. And the past like 5 months or so, or even less than that, I've just felt like I'm too tired to care. But I cared for so many years. I'm 39, you know, um, and I know, and I'm doing everything I can to get back to caring. And the Meisner classes that I'm taking are in a huge, or maybe the majority of the reason for that, for me, is to feel again and to be connected and be able to connect to other people's pains and needs and what they need from me and how I can help them, and it doesn't have to be like tired and poor and like famine and the extreme things, but like just they're having a bad day and like, oh, I'm so sorry, and just that connection and just like, means something to all of us, instead of just like absolving myself of the responsibility that I have, of at least the ability that I have, if not responsibility, of making life a little better for someone else, um, by even at least just being present with them. But yeah, I have not seen Nosferatu. Maybe not the best descriptor. Is that related to this? Is that why you bring it up, or just because of like the? It's on my list, but to be honest, it's kind of low on my list, which is ironic because I'm from Romania and hashtag vampires apparently. but But yeah, I've not seen it. Isn't it black and white or something? Or am I just thinking of the original? But I thought then I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, I'm not trying to be jaded. Um I've been around here for a couple of decades. Many of us just don't want better for themselves or each other. Yeah. How do we pay our bills? Universal and basic income. Yeah. Yeah, that's I'm probably going to be sounding a little bit too much like what's his name? Bernie Sanders. I don't know if he even advocates for this. And it's so interesting again the marketing of interested parties in this country where it's like, "Oh, socialism." Which also is like, well, Sweden's socialist. But I think like people like think of like or even Austria to some degree in France. There's like it's a scale, right? And also like okay, it's a word, and I don't know. I just find it interesting the marketing in politics. I find it interesting. Like when it's kind of again, it goes back to this Justin Baldoni Blake Lively thing where it's like how Blake just tells you something that innately doesn't sound bad, but she's telling you that it should sound bad to you, you know, things like that. But yeah, I'm a universal basic income advocator. I signed up for the German newsletter in like because they're doing like this kind of experiment in Germany and also somewhere in California. I don't know if they're still doing that. Like they're like these pockets. And the German one, I don't speak German and it's all in German. But I signed up years ago because I was like, huh, this is interesting. What a concept. And why not? Because I'm also like on my own personal journey of unconditional love and understanding that because like many of us, I definitely don't understand that. I don't have enough experience with that. Of course, my family loves me and unconditionally in their own way. But you know, when you don't feel that, you kind of start noticing like, I actually don't actually feel or expect or understand being unconditionally accepted and loved. And what a concept. And we feel guilty like, no, I should earn love, I should earn to survive. And the earning of it is not quite the same way as we are like, again, I'm going to use this word I feel like a lot as we market it to be. Yeah. Anyways, all of the most popular movies that we love, Star Wars, The Hunger Games, but people seem to be rooting for Darth Vader and Coriolanus Snow. Um, yeah, yeah, that's an interesting take, and we don't realize it, and but we realize it when we see it in a movie, and sometimes like we can see the relationship, but oftentimes I don't think we do. I remember like with Star Trek, um, I didn't like Deep Space Nine because it was boring. I was young, but my stepfather said like it's a metaphor, and all of Star Trek is a metaphor for like racism and for like society issues that are going on around that time or whatever. And but it's like this way, and I think that's where I was like, huh, movie making might be my thing, because it's like it's kind of like comedian stand-up comics, which now they're getting just like dirty jokes and whatever, but like good stand-up comics in my belief is are those that highlight like the Daily Show, that say things in such a disarming way that your ego doesn't like put the shield up, and you can actually like take it in like, huh, I didn't think about it that way. But I think what movies or shows like Star Trek and Star Wars is like a big metaphor. Um, all of these like movies, they just kind of like there's like a bridge that doesn't quite get gapped. There's like a gap in the bridge. But yeah, it's beautifully shot. Nosferatu, yeah, it's black and white, and the retelling of the story is done beautifully. Um, the movies are allegorical. I'm like, what are you all not getting? Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. Anyways, as much as like I love talking about this, I do want to like go through the little, I don't even know what to call it, but lively Baldoni stuff. in a segue with the Deadpool accident, the Deadpool 2 accident. And it's interesting because in the one article, let me see if I can share this. So many screens and so little space. Does this work? Nope. Nope. This is so. I'm not okay. Nothing works. Okay. Darn it. Let me see. Just need like the screen. Can't even do that. Okay. I'm going to shoot. I don't know. Sorry, but I appreciate your patience. Trying to figure out how to. I don't know where it is. All right. I might have to show the whole window, which, as far as I know, is not going to be pleasant with. Is it okay? You guys can see? Yeah. So just ignore this side of the screen if you can see it. All right. So, the reason that I actually wanted to talk about this is because of this part over here. In the spring of 2014, sorry, during filming of Midnight Rider, when camera woman Sarah Jones was, I think people on YouTube say, unalived by a train on a bridge trestle in Georgia. Um, that was like the last fatality, supposedly before July. I was trying to find like stats and things, but anyways, um, this is what has stuck with me since 2014. So in 2014, I went to England to do. I didn't go through it because of some errors that they made with financial aid or whatever. So I had to come back pretty fast. But I went to masters in directing in England and in film directing. And before we did anything, I mean, I could bring. I am trying to do it all over here. I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. Before we did any other courses, I think we did like a seminar in like movie magic and like producing basically, or like scheduling and budgeting and whatever. But that might have even come after. The first thing we did before any other film classes, it was health and safety. I think it was like 6 weeks or something. It was a long but very dedicated time. We learned, I don't remember, but we learned about like, hey, make sure when you plug things into a house, like lights and cameras and like all these things, they add up, and you have to know, like, you have to have an electrician, but you have to know how much and how little to put, or you could cause a fire, you could like have real serious consequences. And then one of the things was this incident, excuse me, this Midnight Rider incident, because it was actually, I guess it was like just that year, and it stuck with me. And that, like, even though I don't know how to calculate voltage and electricity and whatnot, I it stuck with me. And it wasn't because I even knew about this or because I was like impacted in some way, but because they made such a point to say how important it is to like put safety first. And when the incident happened on Deadpool 2 in that July, also in Georgia, another stuntman was killed in. the Walking Dead set. And so it was like interesting because this was 20, what, 17? Yeah, the Deadpool thing. And I was thinking, like, I've always kind of thought, like, do Americans not have that training? And it also makes me think of like education and how important education is, and how sometimes people say, oh, I mean, I remember this one actor from my acting classes like a while ago. And he was like so upset that he was going to college and study. Like, I don't need math class, I don't need astronomy or whatever. I'm like, that is so ignorant. You do need it. You need to learn how to think. And all of these things, yeah, you may never do like I don't know, a theorem, like geometry theorem or whatever in your life, but it gets in you certain things. When you go into like Hollywood careers and things, so many people's like, oh, you don't need education, you don't need schooling. I mean, I've been told that so many times. And now more than ever, and with these things that are happening, and even the SH allegations, all this stuff, I'm like, no, we need like serious training. We need schooling. We need someone to highlight what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, and not just like a seminar you watch online and you like sign. I don't know how they do it, but I'm saying like how I've seen different places do these kind of like trainings, or like whatever, but someone who like really instills in you how important it is. Because when I heard about that incident, I didn't have to be told like more than once that, okay, people can actually have their life gone on something as that what should be so like safe, as the movie said. Like, they're playing pretend. That incident was not due, unlike all of these other ones, or I don't know actually the stuntman in Walking Dead, but um, it wasn't around the production. It was like they were filming on this train and they didn't check the train schedule or something, and it was coming and everyone jumped off the bridge, but she wanted to save the footage, and that's what happened. Um, and so it's like it's just sad. And this Deadpool thing actually kind of has a little bit of that, as to like people didn't speak up. I think she, or there are other people that were saying like, it's not looking good. Like, it's only a matter of time. The crew was said to be growing increasingly agitated and nervous about the potential for something to go wrong. Um, and then the producers were exerting pressure. Um, and she was improving, but I was watching her, and oh my god, I thought it's just a matter of time before she crashes into a wall or runs somebody over. A member of the stunt team alerted the movie's producers to these concerns, but was ignored, according to the source who trained Harris. Um, and I'll get back to that part. The film okay, no, I'll get back to that part. Yeah, I think that was kind of well, maybe there's a little bit here, but that was kind of all to my first point, which is um this wasn't like, put your health and safety first, and yours. If you have to walk away from a job, walk away. And if you are in charge and you're seeing things or are being told things, put that first. Not money, which includes like time, pressure, and all that stuff. Not money, not anything else, but human lives. And it's kind of jarring how often that's not quite considered. Um, and the other part was, there's some mention here, like, the producers put pressure to have somebody of the same sex and ethnicity in a position she wasn't qualified to be in, which I thought was an interesting sentence at first read. And then um, and that those who work closely came to the conclusion that it was likely right error, which the authorities later said it wasn't. And I thought I had that article, but I couldn't find it. But Donna mentioned, like, this was something that Donna said on her which was like, what? The question for investigators is, why was she put into this position? Um, and this is crazy. She had crashed the bike on two separate occasions days before the accident. Um, and then it just kept being pushed because, and they say here, like, this speaks to a problem of lack of a diversity of stunt performers, and they wanted to have someone that looked like the one main character. Um, and so it that ties into what I was saying at the beginning, which I didn't think of them going together. When I was writing both of these points, but like, we're not really enabling society for better and ourselves to for better, but we're just like cutting corners and not actually investing the time and money and thought into what is missing and the holes in our society. And I mean, talk about right now with DEI being such a big, like, oh, we don't need that and whatever. Like, this right here, this is like, so we'll have even less, you know? And I think it is important for stunt people to resemble, to whatever degree, to resemble the stars that they're being a stunt person for, right? It makes sense. Um, and also to have so many people to have the opportunity and the training to be whatever they want to be. And it seems like she was not like a professional stunt person, because there aren't. There was one person that there aren't of like an African American woman. It seems like she was the first one, but there was someone that they had hired before, but she couldn't do the stunts or she kept crashing too. And so they got her as a second choice. So it seemed like they had more than enough, like, cause for concern that they ignored. And the reason that I bring this up is one for this reason, for the details and all that stuff, and for me personally to like put the correlation with, like, I know, like, it's in me to think I need to think about safety, and where is that? But then the other part is, um, shoot, I forgot. The wording is wildly offensive. Yeah, yeah. With that one sentence, yeah, I was like, why are you saying it that way? Um, and welcome or not welcome home, Maria, but welcome to your home. Um, Suffice it to say, the stunt shouldn't have been done. Yeah, heartbreaking. Shoot, what was I saying with this though? Um, oh, sorry. It was something around something. Well, brain completely went out the window on that one. That thought, at least, just left, flew away. Maybe I'll think about it. Oh yes, that's what I think. That's what I was going to say. My friend and I were talking earlier about Rust. We all know Rust and how awful that was, and also we all know how Alec Baldwin was in on a trial. um, the details gets more complicated, but and one of the reasons was also because he was the producer, just like Mr. Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool, and so he was in some capacity responsible. Um, Even though, like, I think people don't think of the responsibility. I mean, he was also like acting all this stuff, but they don't. They just want the title, Blake Lively just wanted the title. She didn't want the responsibility of it because she did nothing that a producer, an executive producer does. She did everything else. Well, not nothing, but most of it she didn't do. 99% of it. But she wanted that title. So, but regardless of that, we know how extensive that was published in the media, how extensive that was at least attempted to be taken to. And then this, not even Ryan Reynolds, but like any producer, any of that cast, sorry, not the cast, any of that crew from Deadpool, just nothing. Nothing. And I was thinking, like, how much power does Ryan Reynolds and the people around him have? Like, how is this possible? And Donna also mentioned how, like, a human life apparently is worth only like less than $300,000 because they settled for that. Um, that's kind of sad, anyways. But like, they they were found to have, you know, what do you call that? Not cause for concern, cause, or I don't know, reasonable like cause for, not cause. Oh man, my brain today. Possible responsibility. It wasn't user error. And even if it was user error in terms of she wasn't qualified enough, again, that article itself talked about how she had two previous crashes on that, shoot. um, and they just kept pushing, and they just wanted um, their their production, their stunt to be done, etc. And then the other part was also like no safety gear, right? That was a big part. But also they went back to production just like days after. Um, where was that? I just closed the article. Shoot. Uh, so this happened in July. No, in I don't know. But it says the film restarted production days after the accident and is on track for its June 1st release, like so the next year. And I thought it didn't make you like pause. I don't know that I could have just gone back to work like that just days after. There's like, I understand like the show must go on, but not from something like that. I I don't think I could do that. And I don't think anyone should be expected to do that. And like, it just makes me think, when I read that, it made me think, like, this didn't mean anything to you. And the people that were scarred from watching that, from being there, because people, I'm sure, were traumatized who were around that incident when it happened. And you, whether or not you're like aware of it, you're traumatized. Did they get any kind of help? Any like therapy help? Um, did they get any kind of help? And then also just like the idea of like how much more important this movie is. Like, imagine if did Russ keep going? I don't think so. I think they just like stopped. Also, like, it was, well, no, it wasn't that much different, was it? It was a different means, different way that it happened. Is that the only way that a production stops and honors such a terrible thing that happened and like is human enough to do something, just if it's like, you know, not an accident? Um yeah, scary to think. I was thinking the same thing. Ryan has powerful people behind him. Cause for concern, that's what you were talking about. Yes, yeah. Yeah, thank you. I should have. Sometimes I'm like, I read, but then sometimes it's like other things are written in the chat by you guys, and I get distracted. So I'm like, oh, should I look at the chat? Maybe someone has the phrase for me. Um, but yeah, heartbreaking. Yeah, it's but yeah, the thing that like is definitely to me like whoa is like how much power does this person have, Ryan Reynolds? That this, as Donna put it, just kind of got swept up under the radar. Um, but Alec Baldwin, he had to go through it, and I'm sure he. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Like he will have that haunting him for the rest of his life. Um, well, it makes me like emotional just thinking about it. It's so unfortunate what happened. So sad, and yeah. Oh gosh. Anyways, to move on to something happier but not really. I watched the rhythm section for you guys. I couldn't get through it all just because it's not my type of movie. I think it's a decent movie. Again, it's not my type of movie. The action like quiet movies because there's not much dialogue. But the things that I thought about is she was actually pretty good in it. Where was this Blake Lively from the rhythm section? And I didn't watch that. I have the video. I'll watch it. I wanted to, and I just ADHD like, oh, this shiny thing. Oh, this shiny thing, and shiny not in a good way necessarily. Um, but these are my thoughts so far. So, um, she, where was she? Where was this Blake Lively? That is clearly a good actress that can clearly devote herself to her role. She has like a British accent in this movie, which is random. Was that necessary? I don't know. It was random. I didn't even catch it at the beginning. Well, also because she didn't really speak. I don't think she spoke for the first, like, I don't know how many minutes. But then I was like, wait. So she learned an accent or whatever. She is makeupless. She looks bad because she's like an addict, I think. And like her hair, like she does not look pretty. It's like the opposite of the It Ends With Us. And I understand like it's not the same movie and it's not the same character. I'm not saying that it should be, but where was that dedication for this movie? You could still be pretty or like you can still have it like be hopeful and all the stuff and still be dedicated to this character and have the same death. So I was just like so confused. I was so confused as to like what happened there because it was like watching two complete different people. Like did she get abducted and replaced by a robot? Because it's like such a different person what we see in this movie, and I understand there's like controversy supposedly around it with like the director and all the stuff. But like, as I'm just like right now, the first point that I had, that's the first thing that stood out to me is like, where is this acting in It Ends With Us, and where is this dedication for a role in It Ends With Us? And they talk about Reed Moreno talks about the dedication of like of Blake in these scenes of like walking in the water, the freezing cold water, and there's like paramedics on standby right there because it was like I mean, you could die if, from things like this without like training and stuff. And so it's like, where is this person? Anyways, it also made me think like, it's okay if she doesn't want to be associated with such a grungy character and she wants to be associated with a character like she wants her franchise like Deadpool is to Ryan to be someone that's like pretty and flowery and aspirational and all that stuff, but doesn't it not match with what she keeps saying about like Hollywood doesn't take women seriously and women characters seriously? And what did I write here? Yeah, she constantly complains of how Hollywood denies women those roles and that reality of being a whole woman, and not just like stand pretty and do your lines. And I'm like, girl, you just did this movie. this rhythm section movie, and I think it's a pretty decent movie, if not good. Again, I don't know. I will leave that to for people to judge. Um, that like watch those movies, but I think it's her acting. I feel like is pretty good. I don't know if she's the best actress, but I think she did that okay. So where's the connection between what she's saying, how like she wants, a woman character to be like the whole of herself and all this stuff. It is kind of, I guess, like the rhythm. I keep wanting to say the rhythm nation. The rhythm section is a little bit like too much in this extreme, and then it ends with us is a little too much in this other extreme. It's like just a little bit, not all the way, but just bring it a little bit more to the middle. And she didn't, and like she took over. So I didn't really get to anything that I saw as far as like her taking over, but there was Stephanie with the deeds. I saw her little TikTok quickly how in Google it says that they were on 6 months hiatus at one point because she broke her knuckles, which is like I wonder what how you heal, like what happens with that. But anyways, um and then Stephanie was saying that it took more than the time that needed to be taken for the knuckles. It took 6 months, which is kind of like what happened with It Ends With Us, where she's like, "Oh, I'm going on vacation because I thought we were wrapped or whatever," and suddenly she comes back, and I don't know what what I'll find from those interviews that you guys mentioned, or the one Amy J interview that you guys told me about last time. But yeah, it started in December 2017, and then it resumed mid 2018. The other part that was, I think, in Stephanie's video is that like her name was above Jude Law's. But doesn't it make sense for that movie, for Rhythm section, that nation? Because yeah, I hadn't heard of this movie either. It's like it looks like a movie that we should have heard, but that forget was it UP or who Arnaldo? I forget who told me last live on Friday about it. And that there's like a similar controversy around her taking over. But yeah, it's I think it was released in 2020. Yeah, but yeah, I because the main character is this character, and Reed also wanted to make this movie for the woman character. And you guys are saying it's a book set in London. She messed that movie up too. Yeah. um and so I think it makes sense that she should be like, the top actor, I guess. She goes, and then I don't understand why Jude Law is referenced. If anything, it makes me feel like he had to negotiate himself into that poster, and he hijacked that poster because I don't get it, because it's like it starts off with one guy, the first section, and then goes into Jude Law, and then Sterling K. Brown comes after, and I haven't watched the rest of the movie, so it's like all of these guys I feel like should have a name maybe underneath her, but I don't personally feel like that's bad that her name is there. On Simple Favor though, and Simple Favor 2, I wonder about that one. We haven't seen the movie. Maybe it also makes sense. But then we also hear that from Paul Feig, I think Jersey, or shoot, I need to practice saying her name. I haven't been saying it right. But I think she was saying in one of her videos that she took over Paul Feig's Simple Favor 2 as well. Except Paul Feig is like presenting it in like a nice way. Maybe it's like just old guy symptom where you're just like too kind and too like, well, whatever, young people will be young. I don't know why he's like not only not phased by that, but also like supporting her and stuff. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so I would be curious about that. But as far as like this rhythm section, I don't. Let's not, let's not hate. Let's not dump hate on someone just because there's so much other hate that is warranted for her doesn't mean that everything's warranted. You know what I'm trying to say? So I think that's a little too far to say because it's her movie. The rhythm section is about her character. She's like the star of that movie. Now, what she did with this movie, I'm so sorry. I'm like a bad student because I did not do my homework on it. But it's in my homework section. I started actually making a homework section in in my like notes. But yeah. Yeah, I guess more to that, but that was like my main thing for that. Um and then oh, um I don't know how this came about watching this movie, but I was thinking that I think what's happening besides I don't even understand their power and where it's coming from. I don't understand where it's coming from. But I think what's happening is like maybe it's like Blake's power because she has like she was born in the industry and like her whole family basically is in the industry. So I don't know that it's Ryan's power that got the story buried about the motorcycle stunt woman. I wonder if it's Blake and her family and her family's connections. Um, but yeah, like Hollywood royalty, but like in a weird royalty. It's kind of like side royalty, like some of the royal members of like British royalty that you don't hear about, but they have like crazy power. Um, yeah, because I was like, you know, I think Blake and Ryan live in this world that normalizes taking over movies or projects and hijacking things and getting away with things and the PR kind of stuff. And that's why they're not worried beyond like just as on a human level. And they're not also thinking that they're doing anything wrong because this is so normal in their world and they live in this echo chamber. I keep saying that, like, not just with themselves but the people around them. I'm thinking now even more. Um so yeah. Shirsty. I say Shirsty, but Jersty, I think is how she says it. Something like that. Yeah, thank you, P. Um, the other part of this video, um, is of my video. One of the headlines that I had is this like parallel to like the lawsuit and the parallel to um the movie. I think I felt that when I first got into this whole story. I was like, that's interesting. I think I even said like it's interesting that, and I wasn't the only person, but since I've also seen people say like, did she get confused? And I was thinking today like maybe she is too method. It's maybe because I was watching this rhythm dancer. I'm gonna name this movie in so many other ways in this rhythm section movie, and I was like, she's so into this character, she's so in it, and maybe that's why I was like, maybe it shows too method for It Ends With Us, and she ended up, excuse me, really like not understanding that like Ryle and Justin are not the same person. Because remember, even Colleen said that, have you, to Justin in her one email, have you thought of playing Ryle? Because um, I forget how she said it. And it's too complicated on my screen right now to look it up. But something like, because she thought, or when she was writing the Ryle character, like who she imagined is very much like Justin or something, and she could have just been saying that or whatever, but maybe like there's something to that. And then Brendan Sklenar, because like I mean, come on, Brendan Sklenar's like character is like the nice one, the protector, etc., And Justin Baldoni's character is the, just really bad guy. And I don't know. I feel like that's not entirely a coincidence. There's something there. This is like my how people have the theory of like, oh, there's like crushes and she fell for him and whatever. Like, I still don't believe that, but I feel like there's like maybe people are like, this is my version of like she was too method. You know how people have that. This is mine. Like, I feel like there's something there. I think I feel like there's truth in the Baha'i situation and the cultural differences. Um, yeah. Like how many of us don't know people that either if you are this person or maybe are neither or you're on the other side, but like some people that aren't spiritual when they get into like into the room with someone that's spiritual, they're really weirded out and like don't believe them. Like you can't be that good or that like peaceful or whatever. It's kind of like I feel like that's definitely a little bit in there and there's like misunderstandings on that. I again at the core I don't think that's why all of this is happening, but I think that mm, made it amplify things or like there's definitely something to that. Then there's the taking control because she wants her franchise or Ryan wants her to have this franchise or whatever. I think that's like the biggest thing. I don't know what came first to be honest anymore, but I also think like was there some sort of like not you know um I don't know, ripping away, reality from fiction. Said that in a weird way. Um, where is it like just such a coincidence that she got so uncomfortable or so upset to the point where, and again, maybe it was just like about taking control, but to the point where she like turned everyone else against him, all this stuff, and all these things and there's like real like it's so convenient that it's like him. It might just be like really just a coincidence because he was also like the director, so she had to take it away from the director, not from Brendan. And then there's also that I think she worked, or was it Ryan Reynolds worked with Brendan Sklenar on something else. I think that was Donna that showed that the other day, like Friday or something. I forget. That was interesting. Why hasn't someone mentioned that before? Because that's a big point. That's a big point. Just drop some water. But yeah, and this like made me think. Yeah, two method. I don't think it's a power thing entirely. It's a club. Their peers are watching. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now it's definitely like, oh, we better like we need to win this because yeah. Um, but this kind of like the parallel came up in my mind, especially when Dr. Amen Kaur was saying how um even in the movie plot the DV doesn't just like happen right away, because she also pointed this out in Blake's amendment lawsuit where she was saying she didn't ask for it when she brought up the points, just things that ensured other people's safety on set. And I even said, I'm like, well, duh. Who's going to like you're just like you know that you're not going to get like full power and control if you're going to put that as an ultimatum, like, hey, give me editing rights because I feel uncomfortable and I have these like allegations against you or something, or whatever they want to all call them at this point. So Dr. Kawood also pointed this out, like, yeah, even the DV doesn't happen right away. Like the person um like shows you the good sides and the good cards and reels you in, or like she just watch her YouTube, Dr. Kaur. She goes into such a good and very calm way of showing, of like explaining what possibly could happen or could be happening, sorry, or could have happened, as far as like this, like reel in, discard in lesser ways, more ways, whatever, until like, okay, you're done. I thought that was just like, that felt really visceral when I was reading just how cold and different her message, Blake's messages were at like at the end of the shoot when she was editing. She was not even talking directly to them. I pointed this out. She was going by proxy, or is it by proxy? Like she was going speaking to like triangulating another person in, like she wasn't even speaking to Jamie or Justin directly about editing the movie and all this stuff. So yeah. And then how she set herself to be the savior, Dr. Cower mentions. And how like people, toxic people, she uses the word toxic people. I have my thoughts around that. But anyways, they create the bad to save people from. And in politics, you can see this a lot right now. It's like create problems to save people from them. It's like, wait, but there was no problem beforehand. And I put that point because, sorry for the P sound, but I showed you guys the Salma Hayek, Selma or Salma, um, her saying how Blake was even a mother to her. I have to listen to that again because I listened to it 3 times and that's what I heard. But now I'm questioning it. And but she's like constantly just talking about it, and I'm sure that's how she brought it up to Isabella and all these people. And she's like, I'm really concerned for you. I'm doing this for you, for your safety, because I'm worried about you or because I care about you. Anyways, and then she also mentions like where this is something that I didn't really think because I was so triggered by this point, but Dr. Cower says like, okay, you're supposed to focus on the resilience and the hope, but where was it? Because promoting your hair care line and alcohol brand are not that. And I thought, well, yeah, that's well said, Dr. Cower. Um, and then she said something that like hit kind of close to home. A Lily might not have friends because she's been isolated or she's isolated. She's, isolating. And so this like hopeful and resilience might hit very opposite to the people that they all claim this was intended for, or I don't think they even got on the same page around that. But I thought that was like a sad but also very important point to reiterate, that Dr. Coward said. Like, you're saying bring your friends and wear your florals when you're like alone, you don't have friends, you lost all of your friends. Or like, you know, maybe you have like all like non floral, like, and it just like it can be very triggering that you are all alone and just watching it by yourself, going to the movies by yourself might be an act of courage and resilience. I'm paraphrasing what Dr. Couch said, but I thought that was like such a beautiful point to make. Um, yeah, this is crazy. Did you read the email she sent to the actual screenwriter? Yeah, yeah. I read that in my whenever the amendment came out last Tuesday. Oh gosh, it feels like last week was like 2 weeks. I that part one, and I don't know that I'm going to read the rest. Maybe I'll read part two this week if my nervous system, is more regulated now. Because after that first one, I was just going crazy. And watching Dr. Kaur's videos kind of re re-regulated me because She's like, you're not going crazy, basically. Like, this is what this is meant to be doing, to make people go crazy. So yeah, but I did read it, and I said, that it wasn't, that was a pretty good apology because it was lengthy and all that stuff. And you guys said, well, but she was making excuses and she didn't really like say much or own up or whatever. Um, and I think both things are kind of true. It's not a perfect apology. And the more I heard it read, also, maybe I'll go back to it when I reread, or when I go back to reading it, reading the amendment. But um, this was actually perfect segue. Thank you, P. Um, Although right now, this is like just not the best. What do you call it? Sharing experience. Um, but let me try to share my screen here. Gosh, I can't believe this is so odd. That's whatever is happening here. Okay, that's like one. You're seeing like how it's kind of behind the scenes, and then here's the screen. So, is it this one? No. Well, as I'm like opening this, even though you're like seeing me in a tiny little box, I think right now, I'm opening Kirsty's her one video from I don't even know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think Sunday, uh, with Christy Hall, and that broke my heart when I saw this. It broke my heart. I think it was this one. Let's see. Oop, I just unmuted it, and I need to share it with you guys. Okay. Sorry. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay.
Is toast.
This? No.
And then I see him respond with what to me looks like he's just
If you didn't see
hold his hand.
Spidey's
Then she's looking at his
YouTube,
face.
Sorry, that was like amazing as well. Maybe it was like the one before that. And how they like changed the article so many times. I didn't watch Zach Peters' video, but that was just like crazy. Okay, can you guys still hear me too? I think so, right?
Writing that scene, and she didn't even know about it.
Is there any scene in particular that was challenging to work through?
Yeah, as a writer, probably the most difficult scene for me to crack was the rooftop scene, because I have to say Colleen wrote it perfectly, and I wish I could have just lifted it from the pages and just put it in the film, but it's a little too long for film language. And so my first crack at it was like a 10-page scene, which is a little impossible.
So she was really caught off guard, and she...
So, first off, 10 pages would be roughly 10 minutes. I don't think that's impossible. I think because everyone's talking about this rooftop scene as being like the most important, and I think it is. It's how they meet. It's when it starts. And I think it is important. I think it should have gotten the 10 minutes. And it, should have been, if you lift it right off the book, I think if it's that important, it should be that important and it should be that sacred. But the thing that like really like just hit me, knowing the letter that Blake supposedly sent to her, was that this apparently it was before she found out that Blake and or Ryan, whoever wrote that scene, rewrote that scene. And knowing that letter and knowing that, and then seeing this video, which I couldn't find anywhere besides Kirsty's video. I tried, I couldn't find it anywhere. It like it broke my heart because it was that important to her. Like, imagine, like, I don't think that letter that Blake sent, I don't know if she got a response back, honestly. But they're working together again. But it makes me wonder, like, how? Maybe now that Christy's sad with it, maybe she, like, is coming out of the fog and she can see it more clearly. But, like, it was that important to her. She poured so much work into that. Justin tried to fight for her version. And as far as we know, maybe he's like, no, I want to do my own. I don't know. But, like, as far as we know, he wanted to, like, keep as much of, like, Christie's scene. And Blake's like, no, I want to do something yummy with it. How did she describe it? Something like that, right? Like, oh, it's going to be so yummy, which I thought was like, what? How is this scene so yummy? It wasn't yummy also. It really didn't translate to pretty much anyone that I've heard talk about that scene that doesn't even know this about this drama. Believe it or not, there are those people. They're like, that scene was like the least of my favorite. Like, I didn't even get that. That was just stupid. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to show that because it just made me feel like that much worse for her. Which beforehand I felt I don't know that I felt bad because I was just there's so much to this, but I felt relatively bad. But after this, it just like hit me the what she did to this person. And like you were saying, who was here, um P, she starts off by stating how much money the film made. Yeah. If you saw, and I was going to also share, but I don't trust that I can share this in a good way. I already lost the screens everywhere. But gosh, this is so frustrating with what's happening with my computer with this. But in the lawsuit stuff, which one was it? It was like only these motions to like still get their discovery, their subpoena and all that stuff. I think there was like in there. Maybe it was something else. No, it was another one where she's like the protection order one, which I don't have pulled up, and I started like highlighting them and stuff. So, yeah, but in that she's talking about money, 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 brand, 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 company, all these things, but I didn't see one place, and privacy, but I didn't see one place that it talks about, protecting this protective order being for someone's safety. So to your point, P, yeah, it's like it seems like it's all about money. Them resuming the Deadpool shoot just days after this like horrible incident happened, that's not about money. You're just like everyone was fine a few days after that. Like no big deal. Like you're in some sort of war zone. These people aren't there like expecting for that to happen to them or to other people around them. When you go to war, like you expect that, and then you kind of still have to like show must go on and whatever, which I don't really like war. That's a whole other thing. I'm like not a hippie, but kind of more than I think about it. I don't really have much of the hippie qualities except like peace. Like I don't like war. I don't feel like it's necessary. But here we are where I mean, if the whole world feels like it's necessary for some reason. Not the whole world, but like a lot of people in power feel that way right now. But yeah, it seems like everything's like about how much money, and like yeah, having that now you make me want to pull up this lawsuit because yeah, like when you're saying sorry to someone after they put so much heart and soul into it, and how important it was for them to like write this scene. And I think Kirsty in that, watch her video, because she talks about how like for Christy it was so important um to like or was it for Reed Moreno, but I think both, like how important it was for them to how important the story was. No, I believe that Kirsty also said it about Christy. Yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, but we made so much money." That's what she said to Justin as well. Like, "Oh, we'll make." Remember, I always felt like when I was reading that, I was like, "Wait, this doesn't. This is all about like how much money we're going to make, and like I know you're in the invested in the commercial success of this movie as well." That's paraphrasing of what Blake was saying to Justin, and I'm like, I don't think you're on the same page. Like, I don't know Justin personally, but if I would bet on something, I would bet that he obviously cared for the success of the movie and stuff, but like I don't think he was ambitious for that. I feel like he was ambitious to get the story across. Where was this letter? Because now I'm uh, curious about it. Gosh, this amendment also, Blake Lively's amendment, it's just so all over the place. Okay, I found it. Let's see. Need to find this other one. Okay. So I hope you're enjoying, because I didn't catch the movie part, the money part. I hope you're enjoying the immense success of this weekend. Oh, yeah, because the success, yeah. And for what it means for stories about women by women in film. So yeah, I didn't really analyze this because, like I said, by this time I was just like just going crazy. This was the first night, not even this past Tuesday. This was like way back when it came out, and we're up until like 3 a.m. Or Lauren was up until like what 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or something crazy reading it. So I was just kind of going through it. But yeah, so by like already she's like, Justin who? Like, no, this was all about all of us women made this movie. The director, the producers, they didn't exist. They were like that guy in her commercial that was like waterboarded. I heard you were ambushed by at your junket with a question about something I said on the red carpet. Something I said on the red carpet. I might take away my like, oh, this was a decent pardon. I call it like, sorry or whatever. Something I said on the red carpet. Distancing language, right? Instead of saying about with a question about, having about how Ryan, wrote the scene, or even something that I said regarding the rooftop scene and Ryan writing it. But no, I feel awful. I never would have said anything that I thought could be used against you or anyone. I'm sorry you feel bad about that. I'm sorry that you're hurt. Or something, or what is that? No, that is like a decent thing to say, but like, you know, I'm sorry that you're unhappy about the thing that I did or whatever, instead of saying I never would have done something like that, you know. She's like, I'm sorry that I said that, but not that I did it. I wonder if she saw the interview that we just saw with Christy, saying how much effort and heart she put into this rooftop scene. And I wonder if she would, I mean, we know she would have still said, like, I never would have said anything, instead of I never should have done that. I was just proud of my partner and feeling grateful for the ways in which he shows up for me. I believe firmly that two things can be true. Okay. Sorry. In this case, he can show up for me and do great work doing so, and you can do great work, which got us all here. It's like you started the work, but we finished it. You know, we took what you started and we made it better, is what that kind of sounds like now. I don't know. I don't know how this sounded at that time for Christy, but now for sure that's what that sounds like. But the media will make things more black and white, as many people have said, I think already. Like, no, you do. You literally are suing someone for SH that there's a super gray area on all the things that you said, that you chose to not put in the gray. And I should have seen that before speaking off the cuff. I was frazzled for a multitude of reasons that you may know something about or not. Why the comma? That's a weird comma placement. Maybe she didn't do this on purpose. But it reads like, I was frazzled for a multitude of reasons that you may know something about. And then she's like, oh, maybe she didn't. Or like, I don't know, it just feels like a dig. But right now, everything I think feels like a dig. But in that moment, all I was trying to focus on was love and positivity. And the key source of that for me is my family, which is why it was a crutch for me to talk about him. So in this email, she's basically saying, like, I was going through such a hard time putting the director and his family and this woman that later unfortunately passed away because of her condition, that he invited with them for the premiere and did a movie. Was it a movie or just like an episode on her story or whatever? And you know, I'm putting them in the basement. What a hard time for me. I'm going through such a hard time, and I just needed to focus on love and positivity but when I'm doing this to people, when I'm doing some nasty things to people. Um, yeah. And the key source of that for me is family, which is why it was a crutch for me to talk about him. I'm mortified now how that translated with regard to you, though. I pride myself in being thoughtful and trying not to step in landmines. Have we ever seen that? Because she puts her foot in her mouth constantly. Like because of her, we know that she hijacks movies. So she told us. Um, like, what? Um, I don't think she has a filter. I don't think that I've seen an interview where she avoids things that she shouldn't be saying out loud because it makes her look bad. Maybe not then, but later, you know. But I did. It was such an avoidable own goal. And I'm so sorry for any upset or hurt it may have caused you or left you feeling badly in any way. That was never my intention. I was thinking about audiences loving real life love, and seeing that on screen is inspiring. Why do the audience need to see real life love? What does I don't understand. When I read that the first time, I remember, but again, I was like going through so fast through it. I didn't understand that part. Like, this wasn't a movie about love. It was a movie about kind of the opposite, not the opposite of that, but you know, it was like a movie, like a cautionary tale sort of thing. And in a weird way, if you think about it, your husband taking over your projects is in line with Ryle type of characters rather than Atlas type of characters. Atlas would not butt into, you know, Lily's flower shop. Like, hey, maybe you want to put these flowers over here. Versus like a Ryle would be like, you want these flowers over here, right? Right? I just caught that. Seeing that on screen is inspiring. And also, seeing that on screen, she was at a press junket. Or not a junket, but you know, she was on the red carpet. She was asked by reporters. This was not the movie. I should have been holding all of that and you while speaking publicly, and I didn't do that. I'm sorry. I do think that's a nice sentiment. I spoke about you during the many days of junkets, but of course, the one that gets shared back to you is the one where I give my husband credit for the invisible work he did on this movie. And she's not making it better. Anytime she opens her mouth or, fingers, whatever, like that, she's not making it better. The invisible work he did on this movie. So she's trying to make her feel bad. I don't think that's what she's doing. That's not like my first take, but I'll throw that out there just because, petty hour, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Eastern time petty hour. when we get too tired to like have any filter, the petty comes out. I spoke about you. Yeah, I quite literally could not have gotten through it without him in every way, but that's not your back to carry. And somehow it was, if even for a moment. And that was the other thing. It's like, what she did with like Justin, like, oh, all these like directors and screenwriters and producers, they never give me credit. Woe is me. I'm the victim. Feel bad for me. Feel bad for me. And I mean, there are times when like it's okay to say that if it's true, but like I don't think she realizes that she's not a victim. Maybe she is. I don't know. It just doesn't look like it from what we're seeing. And I don't think she realizes the power that she has, or she does, but she's like manipulating and gaslighting us. I don't know. Um, yeah, but she's like, have do you guys? You probably don't watch 90 Day Fiance, but there's this guy Big Ed, who says, "Oh, you're ugly." Just kidding, just kidding. That's kind of what she's like doing. It's like, um, just I guess trauma dumping a little bit on Christy, or maybe a lot. Like, I quite literally could have not gotten through it without him. This movie, in every way, but that's not. Don't worry about that. I'm just like dropping this huge like crumb, like ask me about it or something. Just feel bad. Just know that I'm going through something. And somehow it was, even for a moment. We'll hopefully talk more one day about plenty. What it is to be a woman in this industry is messy and painfully not charted enough. That, yeah, I give her that a lot because it is. And part of like why, I'm sorry, I was like, it wasn't going up. Part of why sometimes I do give her a little bit more grace is because, well, not so much lately, but I want to, because it is messy to be a woman, and the people that but I don't know if this is her situation, but sometimes people that are oppressed end up oppressing because, or like attacking back because they're in that survivor mode. Um, so yeah, it is messy and painfully not charted enough. Although I think there's also a lot of women already that have charted quite a lot, but there's plenty of space yet to go. Um, but yeah, I live in New York and would love to get together anytime. Just let me know. There's so much to say, but none of that is for today. Today is a congratulations celebration, and then I'm sorry for any upset I may have caused in any otherwise beautiful moment. Sending you the best, X Blake. Um, yeah, I think that there's parts of this that I still feel like are good for apology, but I think again it's also like the context and seeing that video and like seeing here, like, I'm sorry for any upset I may have caused, and I'm sorry I said anything, and not I'm sorry that we wrote the scene that was so important to you. But again, maybe she didn't know. I don't know, anything's like possible, right? I don't know. Uh, so yeah, kind of glad that I read that again. Kind of like, oh gosh. Um, She starts off by saying how much money. Blake star in a heist movie about a movie heist. Yeah, that's like a 48-hour film project idea, honestly. I'll keep that in mind, maybe for the summer. It's the meet cute, and that was wrong of Ryan to strip from her. So disgusting. Is it in the book? Yeah. I don't know. The jokes were bad. It was just kind of like not raunchy, not raunchy. What's the word that I want to use? Blake's lines. I watched that scene like not too long ago again, and I think we talked about it. Like it like gave me so much more appreciation for Justin and for his acting. He was so serious and taking it so seriously. And she was like just not, talk about Meisner for a second. Like she wasn't reacting truthfully in imaginary or even real circumstances. Like she wasn't acting truthfully. She was saying nonsense. Whoever wrote that, I have to want to read the book because I want to, understand the differences. But the part that I'm talking about is when he says that he's a brain surgeon and she starts laughing, and which is fine, like okay, because she's like, oh yeah, right, sure. Um, but like the way that she does it and the things that she says afterwards just sounded like nonsense to me. Like I talked about, like sometimes like you're writing for the audience of one instead of an audience, and the audience isn't going to relate to that. The word like, oh, I thought you were a crypto bro. I'm like, who talks like that? I don't think Lily, the flower shop person, talks like bro. And she said something else, I think, in the movie or in that scene too. Like those words are not, they don't, or I don't know. There was some sort of like cacophony happening for me with that scene, especially, and that particular like reaction and the words that were being used. I don't know. But Justin, I almost called him Justin Timberlake, another one that, I don't know what's going on with that one. But like Justin Baldoni is such a, we should talk about this in our Meisner class. I'm going to bring this up. Is such a great example of when you get a crappy script and also one that, got hijacked or is part of the scene or whatever. However, who knows how much she rewrote, and you do the best you can. Because I think there were people talking in class today or last week or something where it's like, oh no, today, yeah, we were watching La La Land. Has anyone seen La La Land, or has everyone seen it? I didn't like it. I'm sorry. I think the first part was okay and it was like relatable, whatever. But at one point it got like, weird. I was like, what? I don't know. I have like less tolerance for like weird crap in movies now. But we're watching the scene and how like the script was so different than what they were saying because they were improvising or they're like really in the moment and kind of like finding their words and whatever. And it was like script to scene, yeah, kind of video. It's, if you Google that, it's on YouTube. If you YouTube that, and someone was saying that it was like because of that improvisation, they were able to live more truthfully in it or something. Like it was more realistic. And the instructor said, like, no, even when you watch actors have to stick to the script so strictly, that's a tongue twister. Um, the actors really can like make that come alive as if it's so improvised and so natural. And there are movies that people say like, oh, you must have had so much improvisation, and people are like, not at all. Like the director, like, which leads me to the next and final point in a second, but like no, like we had to stick exactly word for word, pause for pause, everything to the script. I think what an irony. I think Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver, right? They did that like fighting breakup little movie or whatever. And both or one of them talked about that. Like, there was no improvisation. It was exactly like you had to find the truth in the lines that you're given. And I think Justin also did a great job with that for the rooftop scene, at least. Who knows? Maybe he got his or like Christy's like lines, somewhat, but he was really in it. He didn't need the crutch of like being quirky and weird. Because any words, like, an actor is a good actor when he can or she can get any freaking words, and they will read it and you feel it, and it's real, and it's emotional, and it's like you feel the realness of it. So yeah. Excuse me. OP, that's her specialty. Everyone knows the meet cute is the most important thing. I'm in love movies and movie making. Yeah. It was a meet cute, but it was also like it had to show, and I don't think him kicking the chair. I remember watching that, and to me, it was like that doesn't happen. Because if you see that, it's a warning, it's a red flag. And yes, you can ignore red flags, but you have to get to the point of ignoring red flags, if that makes sense. And maybe that happens sometimes, but I've heard this from other people and from experts as well. Like, that's not how it starts. Like, you don't know. Like, it's all about charm and stuff at the beginning. And again, it's like everyone, there's like, it's a snowflake kind of thing, right? Every human is different, every experience is different and unique. But yeah, it's a meet cute, but one that has to also show some flags going up that are being maybe missed. I also last night I was trying to find where in the world this Robin Lively is, because she has a role, but I remembered not seeing anyone besides like the main characters and like the parents. I could not see it. I could not see it. Was it her mom? Because I didn't see it at the beginning. But I saw the scene where she walks in with her boots. If you watch 90 Day Fiance, Darcy wore the same exact boots, I believe. And sorry, I'm like going down the chat. But I saw that last night. I was like, oh, those are the boots. Boots? Yeah. Welcome to my my accent. But anyways, and something about that scene where like they meet at his like party or something, and the way that she was like talking like at the bar and then she walked away, just suddenly felt like the power was too equal. Does that make sense for these characters, that the power should not be equal for? I've spoken about how I think it's a great choice to make as far as like showing that, you don't have to be the cliche weak kind of character, because that's not really how it works all the time, most of the time. You can have a lot of agency and still be taken into this world. But I just felt like she was too in control, and I think it was a matter of like just fine tuning. If you had like, I think guitars do this, but for sure, yeah. But for sure, like violins, you tune like the big tuner, and then you like fine tune at the I don't even know what you call it anymore. I think she went a little too much into the dominant and needed to reel it back in. Like, she was like more like, confident, but wasn't like strong. I don't know how to explain that. Getting off the topic. Um, it's the meet cute, and that was wrong of Ryan to strip from her. So disgusting. Oh, sorry, that's her specialty. Blah. Notice how BLRR sued. They don't specify the amount they're seeking. They want that left up to the jury. Oh, really? I didn't notice that. Thanks for pointing that out. Yeah. Huh. So like $1. I wonder if they win, which I hope they don't, but it's a possibility. But I wonder if they win and the jury's like, oh, okay, yeah, oh, fine, you get $1 or you get like $200, 100 each. Did you see the Women in Hollywood article that was edited, first published? Yeah. Hollywood, what is it? The Hollywood Reporter or whatever. First publishing state directorial debut. Oh, no, that was a different one. Second article, state's producerial debut. I did not see that. Wait, is that the same one? The Hollywood Reporter, right? Is that the same one? Or is it the other one? I'm gonna like look that up. Wait, am I like, yeah, like which screen am I on? I despise that phrase. The meet cute, you despise, P. She should have said she was sorry for everything she did and caused. Why add an excuse? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I heard something about that in X. Again, explanations, excuses are fine to an extent because like it's human, whatever. But like what's all around that? That should be like a tiny little percentage, like 1% or 0.5. And that's like more so you feel better, which I don't mind. I don't mind receiving. For me especially, like I want to know your thought process. But yeah. Oh, shut up, Blake. Arnaldo, I'm with you, P. She's annoying, insufferable. She didn't read the book. Because you bring this up, and I thought about this. Like, what if she did read the book, y'all? What if she read the book? You remember how I was saying, like, one of the titles or the highlights of this video for me was like the parallel. I forgot about this. I forgot to put it in my notes, but this was one of the thoughts that I had. What if she did read the book? Again, because I was watching this rhythm section movie and I was like, this is not the same Blake. And I was thinking, what if she did read the book and she knew exactly what to kind of say in her lawsuit and how to like kind of phrase it or whatever? What if she read the book and she's using it against this whole project? Okay, maybe not the book, but what if she did some research is what I mean. Maybe she did read the book. I don't think the book was about that, but what if she did do the research that we're saying that she didn't do? I know P, she didn't care just about promoting her husband's and her business. Yeah, were you guys here when I was saying that she and I don't remember the video that I had up, but it was the BBC video from Friday night, I think, or Thursday night, where she was saying, or it was said about her that at the after party of the London premiere, they were promoting Ryan's gin at the after party of a DV movie or a movie that had at least some DV in it, if we want to talk about it. If you guys didn't see that, it's I wish I could tell you where it is in my video, and I wish I could tell you which video exactly. Maybe if I have a little bit of time and remember, once I get through the chat, I'll go and show it again. But it was like the BBC interview where the reporter's like, yeah, it's not usual for people to tell us what to ask or what not to ask, especially like, like last minute, like tell us before so we can know whether or not, is worth watching or interviewing you. But yeah, she's just like, promoting left and right. She's a whining nincompoop. That's cute, Maria. But she's messy. Meet cutes are the most important, and yes, it's in the book. It's raunchier in the book. Ooh, okay. It's all about her, 100% P, and it's not in its entirety. Raunchy, you mean? Or all about her. Random thought. I love lavender tea, but my brain needs to stop associating with soap. That's a very random thought. That's interesting. I don't associate it with soap, but I love it too. I was surprised. I have the de-stress lavender rose, whatever it's called. I think from Bigelow or whatever you call that brand. And it's like, because I think I associated with like spa, even though I don't go to spas. But I have had facials and I've gone waxed. TMI, I guess. Retrospective TMI warning. Um, and so in that sense, but it's not really a spa. It's like an esthetician, and she has a little booth. But yeah, when I get facials, the aroma or like massage, I also have gotten a couple of massages, and it's that aroma. Um, but yeah, I don't know. And I'm guessing you want to to not associate with soap. I guess maybe because I don't use lavender soap or lavender scents outside of the tea. I do have like a lavender essential oil thing, but I never use it. That's one of the few essential oil or smells that apparently is safe for parakeets. But I actually don't use it because that's not even 100% sure. And I honestly, I just forget. But yeah, I love lavender tea though. Yeah. Yeah. And there's the rose one, or the rose has like passion flower and rose, and then the lavender is like the calming, the chamomile lavender, the sleepy time kind of one. Yeah. I love listening to actors, directors, casting directors, etc. talk about their craft. Um, this is I like this. This is going into a different direction. Lavender tea does taste good, Maria. It tastes really good. It's and like the smell. It just like it just really like maybe not for everyone, but I think because I associated with like calming spa ish kind of experiences. Yeah. I don't even know that it has like a very distinct taste. Guess it does. It's more like the smell. It's a unique taste. I kind of associate it with juniper and gin. It's a perfuming taste. Huh. I wonder if lavender is kind of like cilantro. Because cilantro, I still don't know if to me it tastes like soap, but I know for sure at the beginning I was like, this is awful. Why do people like this? And then I just got used to it. But when people said, "Oh, to some people it tastes like soap," I was like, I don't think that's what it tastes like. I've tasted soap, unfortunately. You know, like when you like wash your face and it gets in your mouth, or like it's not the same experience at all. But yeah, I wonder if it's like that because to me, lavender doesn't taste anything crazy. But it's also interesting. Talk about gin. I don't, I don't know that I've ever had gin. And after this, I don't know that I want to, after associating it with Ryan Reynolds. Agreed, because the party scene meetup is better in the book, of course, even though the book is just all right. No, it's a different article. Okay. You know what, people who love the rhythm section noted that the movie removed all the stuff about her and made it all about her. Oh, like all about the character. Like they removed, like it became the character became Blake Lively rather than gosh, I don't even know the character's name. Is that what you mean, P? And then but I didn't, but at least she looked raw and she looked like a different person. Not just like physically, but she didn't have her mannerisms and things. I don't know. I still feel like it wasn't that bad. I have to like look deeper into it. They removed all the stuff about her family. Oh, okay. Oh, like the backstory. They had, I mean, that was like the first beginning was all of that, which I thought was like cool. Uh or no, it was little by her family, and then it was mostly like her hanging out with like her chosen family. I guess. Okay, so what did I say? I want to check that article out that you said. I did not catch that article, but before we got into the lavender tea, which is a great topic of conversation. Excuse me. My personal favorite taste, randomly, is elderflower, because that in Romania that's huge, or at least like when I was growing up in my households, like all the families, like my dad's and my mom's, um, like elderflower, like with fizzy water, like you had elderflower syrup. Socata is the name, and it was like the best thing. Um, so that's like my happy place as far as drinks. But I don't remember. Oh, the BBC interview. Right, right, right. I was like, what? Where was I? Right. That might have been. Shoot. What is this? Sorry. What is going on with like my internet and computer? My YouTube is just like going just weird. Just weird. Oh my gosh, I have so many. I watch so many videos. I was watching. Do you guys know? You probably don't. It's Keisha. I love her. She was talking about Beyonce and ticket prices, and I was like, you're talking about how it's like, a few $100s is a bad thing. It's like outrageous. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift like has thousands of dollars a ticket, and that's supposedly she loves her fans. Okay. Um, so I didn't think it was bad. I might not have this BBC thing. Oh, I found it. Okay. Let's try that. Where is. Shoot, I just closed the window. Wait, where is that window? Uh, that's interesting because OBS is reading a window that doesn't exist. So, okay. This is what I get for not. I'm getting to StreamYard or whatever else. I was just like, I'm trying to take it little by little over here because it's a lot. As you can see, I am already, I don't know, overwhelmed. But yeah.
That became a really big focus, it seems, online was the manner in which she was promoting the film. And Blake Lively, it seems, came in for a lot of criticism for that.
For a film about domestic abuse, the press tour was probably not what you would have expected. Especially the London one. There were pink carpets, there were flowers, there was a promo of Blake Lively's new hair care brand. Her husband was promoting his gin brand at the after party. So really, if you looked at the premieres and the red carpets, you wouldn't associate this film with actually being quite a harrowing film about domestic abuse.
So that was for all of you who didn't see that like a few lives ago. But yeah, when I heard that, I was like, more tone deafness. anyways. Oh, P, it's Keisha. Yeah. I have to slow down her videos. Oh, yeah. I think it's my ADHD that is, to me, she doesn't talk that fast. It's like a very pleasant, I don't know, pleasant. Sometimes like it's a lot because she's so high energy. But the timing of it is pretty good. Actually, I think the Beyonce one, I was like fast forward. Or, no, the other one, I was fast forwarding. I'm like, you're not getting to the point. But yeah, wait, where did I go with all my points to make sure that I got everything? Got that. Got that. Oh, there's this younger selves interview that I thought was like on. But yeah. Oh, the Spidey video, the behavioral arts, I think, or whatever. The body language thing. Spidey had a light, I think that's her name, or the channel name. He had her on, and she was talking about how like, um, because they released that footage, now Blake could have altered her amendment and it doesn't look good, but the jury and whatever, like the court just takes the last amended complaint or thing, and discards the other ones. And ooh, running out of battery. If I go away, then I'll see you guys tomorrow. But I was like, this is a good argument as to why Friedman maybe didn't release anything else besides this voice note and the clip. And they have what seems even more damning evidence, but they only released these two. Oh, there we go. What did I say? I caught that. um and well, I'll finish my thought because you can still see me, I think. And I think I can get on. I have to like reset all of this. But yeah, I'll be upside down for a second because, yeah, this is OBS, guys. This is things that you don't see behind the scenes. But yeah, so I thought that was like maybe why he didn't do that. He just gave us a taste, like the PR part, like, hey, like for us to like really see, or to see the cracks in her case, but saving things so she's not going to change her story again, or period. Um, but yeah, the rest I'll talk about tomorrow. Maybe unless tomorrow's like a big day, right? Tomorrow they might be talking a lot about. Well, I guess they already did. There's the motion. They didn't talk about the protective order, but they talked today. Oh, sorry, I forgot that you're on the laptop. They talked about, they made the like, no, we don't, we think that we're asking reasonable subpoena stuff, and Wayfair is like, no, you're not. Even now that you took things out, and actually like another lawyer friend that doesn't do, I guess, civil litigation, they said, but they're like, yeah, that's over or too broad, overreaching or something. That's what the court would deem. So it's interesting. I don't know. Um, but yeah, so subpoena motion doubled down on. The Hollywood Reporter caught changing its article over like 4 times. It was also like so stupid. It's like, I don't know. And yeah, of course, like, we don't, we wouldn't notice, but it just looks so unprofessional. And then the SAG Awards, I'll talk about the SAG Awards tomorrow, and the Younger Selves tomorrow. Because I still have to finish half of the SAG Awards, but I don't think there's too much to that besides the things that I just jotted down. Anyways, thank you. You have a good night too, Angel and Arnaldo and Maria, and Maria. The subpoenas was today. Yeah, there were the two, like, them saying, no, we don't think this is overreaching. Blake Lively's team was saying that. And I have them up, but tomorrow I'll like cover them better because I have them highlighted and everything, but my system is just not working today for some reason. And so I'll go over tomorrow, but tomorrow I think they should be also talking about the protective order decision. That was like a joint protective order, remember? But not. They claimed that it was kind of wasn't. Um, but yeah. Night P. Did you see an intimacy coordinator in law and crime She said she looked uncomfortable, but not sh uncomfortable. That sounds familiar, maybe. I saw that plenty. But yeah, I think no, I think I just saw Spidey covering that, saying like, yeah, like her shoulder up, or whatever. But like like he's like, at the end, his verdict is like, yeah, there was no sh happening. But yeah, the judge's motion reply. Yeah. The judge hasn't replied on anything yet. It's just, I think, yeah, it's just been the lawyers back and forth. So tomorrow seems like it's going to be a great big day. Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night. Thank you for joining me, and then hope you enjoy that lavender tea. Ooh, that just sounded too much like the Taylor Swift song. Lavender Haze. Anyways, have a wonderful night. Thank you guys for coming and chatting and bearing with me through the beginning of this. It was really like heartfelt important, and it came out like nonsense, probably, but hopefully it was like kind of the point got through. I don't know. Have a wonderful night. Bye.